Welcome back to Daddy Knows Best. This week's episode, we have on Mike Byer. He's a life coach, a two-time New York best-selling author, and just an awesome, genuine dude. And we had a very powerful episode. I'm excited for you guys to check it out. Enjoy. Thanks for doing the podcast, bro.
Yeah, thanks for getting me to Inglewood.
Yeah, nobody knows where it's at till they type it in when they're leaving.
Yeah.
It's a trek, man. I used to live over there by you. I lived above Erewhon by the Grove for 8 years.
Oh, that's fancy.
It was cool, man. I liked it. I'd go down and get my breakfast burrito every morning, walk my dog in the park across the street. And then I calculated how much I wasted on rent, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, you got to buy.
It was so much.
Yeah.
Cool, man. What's cool about this is I was doing some research before this, and I didn't realize how much cool stuff you have done. I knew you were like super established and done a bunch of stuff, but I saw your website. You had Joe Jonas as one of your clients for your life coach.
I worked with a lot of entertainers. And so I went from starting a rehab in my apartment in Venice at 20.
You started in your apartment?
Yeah, running free groups.
Wow. Free groups.
Free groups.
Just inviting like addicts into your apartment.
Just addicts. And then eventually I got a space. I think it was $600 a month. And I was thinking, how the fuck am I going to afford this space?
That's a steal in Venice.
I know. This is, gosh, it's almost 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, the building was just disgusting. But now we're in our fourth, I think, space.
Wow.
And I'm opening up another facility. But, I went from sleeping in $30 a night motels, doing interventions on very, 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 very difficult addicts or people with mental health issues. And then that, I think because I live in Los Angeles, eventually you're going to start working with entertainers.
Yeah.
And then I started intervening on some entertainers. Like I was brought in by the managers or the families. And then that just kept evolving. And then after I worked with entertainers for a bunch of years, even as like a life coach, I was like, fuck this, I'm going to Iraq. So I started going to Iraq alone.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Why?
I didn't want to work with celebrities anymore. I was over it. Completely over it. And I've done this every 3-4 years. This was maybe 5 years ago.
You were going to Iraq 5 years ago? The country.
Kurdistan. Yeah, Kurdistan, though. It's like outside of Erbil.
Okay. It's in Iraq, though.
Yeah. It's just that Kurdistan is not recognized as its own country. Basically, like...
Oh, the Kurds. Yeah.
The Kurds.
They're fighting. There was like a big war over there. I don't know if
the Kurds are always fighting.
Yeah.
Because no one will ever say that they're... But they have their own government. I was working with the president.
Yeah.
So I felt pretty safe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy. What were you doing over there?
I was trying to open up mental health clinics. So it's completely crazy. I know. But for free. It wasn't none of it was for. I went from like the very for-profit, famous, traveling the world, private jets, all that bullshit. And then I found that I had a bigger purpose helping women whose husbands have been beheaded by ISIS and daughters sex trafficked in Syria. Jeez. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be my next calling.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to LA, I tried to get everyone on board, and no publicist would get on board with this concept.
Of course not, yeah.
But I was naive. I just thought, these clients were like, you saved my life. I'll do anything for you. And then that was the first moment I realized, all right, well, why don't I fucking become the brand? Up until that point, I had no interest in being known.
Really?
None.
Wow.
0.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. So you were already like crushing it in the industry, and you're like, okay, now I have to develop like a celebrity image.
J-Lo would post with me on Instagram as like a main post. I didn't even have Instagram.
Wow.
I just literally thought, why would anyone want to be well known? I know it sounds odd. I was doing great. No. I was just like, why do I need to become well known?
I don't like the only reason I want to be well known is because I know how it's just more people I can spread what my purpose is of like love and laughter through comedy, you know. But
Yeah.
like I'm extroverted, but I'm not like come up to me as a stranger, like you know what
Yeah.
I mean. I don't like the idea of that either, and it gives me anxiety even like
Yeah,
thinking about it.
and we live in a culture where, so for example, I was funding this thing in Kurdistan alone. By
That's
the way, they
crazy,
like don't speak any English, as you
right?
know, and I'm, you know, a gigantic white man from America who's
Yeah,
gay.
who's gay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
which is
like,
not
I'm
accepted
gay, I'm
over
in
there.
Kurdistan. Yeah,
Like
that's
they
why
will
I'm,
kill you over there.
yeah, you could try. But I'm
Were
a
you
big
were
target.
you a blue belt then?
No, I wasn't even doing jujitsu.
Oh man, I mean,
No, I was just
you're a
doing,
beast, dude.
I'm
On
a big dude.
and also just like your jujitsu's solid.
Thanks, man.
Cause like I'll like there's some big dudes that are like
You can toss.
I can in their blue belts now. Like I don't know, I won't say them because they're my buddies, but like 6 foot plus 6'6", and
Yeah.
like, but you're different, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good at it, and you're huge.
Yeah, I got the homo fight. It's a different beast, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I have this other Instagram account that I started in January that's just all homo.
Really?
Right? It's completely homo.
Is that
And
the
it
name
was-
of it? Full homo?
No. No, I don't even want to
Because
say
you know
the
there was
name
like
of it, but-
no homo hashtag. You're like full homo.
Well, I realized so many people end up meeting people off Instagram.
Yeah.
And
The whole
I don't know.
slide
I
in
kind
the
of felt
DMs.
like it wasn't that hot that I'm like talking about anxiety and depression. Like
Yeah.
and then, you know,
But you're helping people, man,
for sure.
and it's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I realized that society cares a lot about fame. So if Kim Kardashian talked about Kurdistan, the whole world would be talking about Kurdistan.
Of course.
And I thought that that's so weird
It
to
is
me.
so weird.
It's weird we live in a time where somebody who has no education, experience, that we raise up people
Or good values, even. Like
potentially, yeah.
I mean, I don't know her personally, but like from the outsider's perspective and the limited knowledge, some of these people we're idolizing are not good idols, and like they're like she's has like some kind of body issue with her how she looks with all the surgery they're doing, and it like go walk through LA and you see how it's like impacting our culture and how like everyone's got these lips and these cheek fillers, and it's
You
just
guys
like
like that?
I don't like it.
No.
No way. My girl's from Texas. Like I'm old school. Like I'm not like
What kind of guy likes that kind of woman?
I guess the same. I don't know. I mean, when they do it like a real like the really expensive ones,
The expensive what?
the expensive like when it's done like, but even then like it looks good, but it's just fake, you know. I don't know. And then the butts, like that's the one I can't get
Yeah, the
behind
butt
for
is
sure.
a little strange.
Dude, do some squats. It's like the one thing that you can. You know, if you told dudes your dick got bigger, if you did a bunch of squats, every dude would be doing,
Every dude would be doing it.
100 squats every day.
Yeah, you're so right. I don't know why people get a fake ass.
I don't get it either. And
Because
it looks
I think
ridiculous.
when they get older, I just imagine a fake ass when somebody's in their like 60s, 70s, and 80s. What do? Get it removed?
I don't know.
Then you got a hole in your ass?
Is it? See, I don't. Is it? Are they like inserts? They go in there?
Depends. I worked with a client who had a fake ass, but it went wrong.
Oh no!
Yeah, her stuff went wrong.
Celebrity?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it went wrong.
Oh,
And she spent years just trying
can't
to
be
get
J
it
Lo.
right. No.
I know you can't say it, but
No, but it's not. No, she's like, she's
that's crazy.
on point.
Yeah.
The other
Oh
ones,
yeah.
other ones,
All natural, or mostly.
Because it leaks. They were doing these injections, and then it can leak down the leg.
Yeah, it's like one of the most dangerous of the
Yeah.
plastic surgeries, from my understanding.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
I don't get it. What are the? I mean, the gays get it too, right?
They do. You know, it's funny. I was in there's this new gym that opened by my house called John Reed.
Okay.
I guess it's an influencer gym,
Oh, it's like even more prestigious than Equinox.
but it's half the price.
Oh,
But the people can work out with their shirts off, and it's literally an influencer gym. So you see these women with like the tripod set up,
that's ridiculous.
doing, you know, because I've always thought like, where are people filming these?
Right.
And then you kind of feel like you can't walk near their setup.
Yeah. It's
So-
so uncomfortable.
I was in the sauna which is not something I frequent often.
I saw you do Remedy too.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've gone there when I popped my rib.
That's amazing.
It's such a sick spot.
Yeah, I love Remedy Place.
Yeah, my
The ice
girlfriend's.
bath.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend's friend works there, so I got like a fat discount.
Really?
I did the NAD drip. I did the hyperbaric chamber.
She works there?
No, my girlfriend's friend
Ah,
works there.
you got the hookup.
Yeah, and he gave me like fat discount. So when I popped my rib, I tried to do everything to, but didn't. I mean, it probably helped, but like
It's the worst when you pop a rib.
you've done it.
Hoffa did it to me.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did that. He bloodied my nose once.
Oh yeah, because you're probably giving him a lot of trouble.
No, the problem is I talk shit to guys I shouldn't talk shit
Oh,
to.
same. I do too.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I'll be Nick. Bro, I'll be like, they call me the brown belt hunter. He's like, you shouldn't have said
Yeah,
that.
he gets all excited by it, right?
Yeah.
But in the sauna, I saw this guy get up, and he was an attractive guy. And then when he was in clothes, and when he turned around, he had a giant fake ass.
Oh God.
And I was like, why do you get that fake? In my head, I'm like, what a it was almost like normally someone would turn around and you'd be like, oh, their face maybe isn't that attractive.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh man, you got a fake booty. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. I always imagine it like if you rub a balloon, it'd be like, same
Yeah.
sound. I don't know. That's wild. Yeah. Also, 2-time New York Times bestseller author.
Yeah.
How fucking cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
That's that's got to be I mean, that's the top as an author. Like how was that? Like how difficult was that? What's the process even like to get
hell.
first you have to have an incredible product, but even then like getting it to that reach.
To be honest, Dr. Phil set me up big time.
Yeah.
So I went on the show a few times, and then he said, what are you doing? It was like a Tuesday, and I'm like, not much. He's like, why don't we go meet your agent in Dallas? I'm like,
Yeah.
what agent? Your book agent. And I flew with him to Dallas.
That's
And then
sick.
we took the meeting. She's one of the biggest agents in the literary world. Her name's Jan Miller. She's just fucking amazing. And the problem is I got held back in school twice.
Really?
Yeah. And the other problem is I'm, dyslexic. I don't like writing. I felt a little insecure. Like, what the fuck do I have to say? Like, how am I going to really help people? And the first book, Best Self, Be You Only Better.
I have that one.
Yeah, I gave you a copy.
Yeah, the red one.
Yeah, it took off.
Yeah.
It went #1 in Korea in self-help and
Wow.
23 languages. And
What do you think made it pop off in Korea in particular?
because I have you create these characters that represent who you are. I just think they like that. They had these huge book clubs. Like they'd send me, I would just constantly be tagged with like 30 Koreans around a table with all these little stickers on the book.
With their characters?
Yeah, with the characters. And it was just insane. I didn't have that much engagement in the U.S. I mean, I
Yeah.
sold more in the U.S., but
Sure.
it was, it was really good. And then when you have a book that does really well, it's kind of sad. Like, so they say books are impulse buys. The majority of books people don't read. So
Really?
oh yeah. Like I think that
I do have a lot to read, but I read about, I don't know, 8 to 14 books a year.
good for you. Well, most people they say 85% don't go past the first chapter.
I believe it.
So
It's a habit you got to do.
yeah, like I'm looking at your bookshelf right now. So like I tried to get into Attached,
Love that book.
but I couldn't get past the first chapter.
Really? Are you avoidant and you're like, fuck this?
No, I just felt it was very much like we all get together as friends, and we're like, you're an avoidant, and you're this, and I was just like, okay, this is over. It just felt a little overgeneralized for me.
Yeah.
So I just kind of was like, okay, where are we going with this? Seeing if you have any books that I fell in love with.
That side is my roommate's side.
Which one?
The left. So the right are going to be like all self-improvement, and the left are going to be like all historical, and like the dude's a insane history buff.
I think I bought Blink too. I didn't read that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's all about like trusting your snap judgments.
Outliers is pretty cool.
Outliers was good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, he He does the research, it seems.
He does, man. They're not the easiest of reads, but they're dense and you learn a lot.
I love that you even have the DSM-5 to diagnose yourself.
Well, I have a master's in psychology.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe you told me.
Yeah. I went to, so I got my bachelor's and master's in psychology. And yeah, I could have gotten my doctorates, but I was just like,
You didn't want to be a therapist?
I was going to school because I used to be in the military and they were paying me. So it was like, at that point, it's like a lot of work for something I'm not going to work in. And at that point, it also felt like I was putting off what I actually wanted to do just to keep getting money for school. And I was comfortable because they pay you. I mean, for where I grew up
Yeah.
poor in Oklahoma. So I was like wealthy in college. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like they pay you a lot. So it just felt like I was just kind of.
It's too bad. Great therapists are a dying breed.
They are, man.
We interview. We had a year to try to fill one spot.
Yeah.
Because we had a therapist go on maternity leave.
Oh, no.
It was so difficult.
How long is maternity leave in California?
I don't remember.
It's longer than most states, right? Which is
Yeah.
good. I think it should be.
And she's actually the first therapist that came back. Usually the therapists always say they're going to come back, then they have a baby, and then they're
gone.
really wanting to be moms and not realizing how much of their life has to be committed. But
Yeah.
oh my God, some of it may be an LA thing, but the LA therapist who's looking for work, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I had to get our program director. I'm like, as soon as you cut off the meeting, don't waste another 30 minutes. You literally get them coming in. I mean, it's just very, very surprising because anyone could be a therapist.
Oh, so you're saying like there's a bunch out there, but the quality's not great.
Yeah, because if you're a private practice therapist and you're great, and let's say you're charging $200 a session.
Right.
So all you need is 10 sessions a week to make $2,000.
Right.
Which will make you, let's say, $104,000 a year.
Yeah.
Working 10 hours a week.
Right.
Right?
Which is
incredible money.
Yeah.
So,
but they also have tons of debt and probably overhead with their business, and
they all do on Zoom now.
They do?
Almost all of them.
Wow.
And they want to charge the same. I remember I went to a therapist before COVID, and then the mask mandate dropped, and I asked to come in and see her again. I think I was paying like $275 or something.
Yeah.
Which it's hard for my brain not to go to the minutes.
Of
like,
course.
how much am I paying per minute?
Yeah.
Or I'm listening to this 5-minute story.
Yeah.
Oh, that just cost me another $50.
For sure.
But she told me that now she just does it on Zoom. I was like, nah, I'm good.
If you're paying, like, I want that in person. You better have a box of tissues if I start crying. Like, I want the full experience.
Yeah, we found that people, because we have an online program at our treatment center. It's called Cast Centers. And the people who did online versus in person were twice as likely to relapse.
Of course.
But if you watch TV, you think that telehealth is the answer for everything.
And look, it's better than no therapy, but
Sure.
Yeah, man, I didn't even do stand-up on the screens during the pandemic because I saw it as like a totally different media. Like, it's like learning a whole new skill that I just wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not the same. But I did do some Zoom therapies because once the pandemic hit, my therapist is older and was obviously not comfortable doing anything besides that. So I kind of was forced to, but yeah, it wasn't the same.
What was something you realized in therapy that was a big aha moment?
Oh, I had a lot of those. Probably was my therapist after that one. Had me do like inner child exercise and work, and just that there was stuff I didn't get in childhood, and it's, I don't have any resentment or hold anything against my parents. They just didn't have the capacity to give me certain things emotionally that I think is necessary for development, and that he just kind of like had me hug that younger version of myself and say everything I wanted to say to him, and to know that I don't need that from them anymore, that I can get it from me. Yeah. Makes me emotional just talking about it, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how we don't realize we carry around a lot of pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I cried many times in
Yeah.
those sessions.
Crying's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And then guys were like taught to suppress it, and it's not like you're not a man if you like, you know, the old school bullshit that we
Yeah.
were kind of raised upon. And it's just like, you gotta cry, you gotta let it out when it comes. I still cry almost every week. I mean, actually every week about my dog, man.
your dog passed.
Yeah, this year I had to put him down, and like toughest. Yeah, I've lost friends, I've lost grandparents. Nothing has come close to losing my dog. Unfortunately. Sorry, Grandma. No. Yeah.
Yeah, grief's
It's
tough.
You have a dog too, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Frenchie, I think.
Labradoodle.
Labradoodle.
Yeah. That'd make me super gay. If I had the Frenchie. A lot of gays have Frenchies. I will never go that route in my life.
Labradoodles are cool, man.
Well, they don't shed. They're hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
They're friendly.
Poodle's one of the smartest dogs.
They're chill, super chill. But yeah, I partially got a dog 10 years ago by the encouragement of my friend, because he's like, you need something that just fucking loves you.
Yeah, man. One of the best. It lowers your heart rate, petting them. Like, I still walk. Before you came, I did my morning walk, and like, I will get another dog. I have a few career goals I want to hit, because towards the end, my guy was like in a wheelchair and like took a lot more of my time and energy. So I need to, because I'm 35. I need to hit a couple of milestones before I sacrifice more time with the dog, you know? What was something you realized in therapy that you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah. What I realized in therapy, God, there's been so much.
Of course, man. I think we should all have therapy and therapists. And
Yeah. I mean, I think, so I think you end up in this profession typically because you're either trying to solve your own issues and you don't realize it and you're projecting it,
yeah.
or you've been through a bit of hell as a kid. Typically, it's pretty rare I meet someone who's a clinician who hasn't had it rough,
Yeah.
like in some way. It's just the nature of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mine was a combination of both of those.
Right.
Yeah.
And because we're not taught these things as kids at all,
Yeah.
you know. So I'd say I would say the biggest realization is I wasn't unconditionally loved.
Yeah.
At least that's in the last few years. You know,
It was like withheld, depending on your behavior. In a way.
my first book I even wrote, I dedicate this to my mom, because she taught me that no matter what kind of day you're having, you always show up for others. She never taught me that.
You're always what?
That you always show up for others, no matter what kind of day you're having. But she never actually taught me that, because she never did that.
So
I
she
actually do
did,
that.
in a way, but like the
But in a
inverse.
twisted way. And I was living this like
Oh, no.
distorted lie, or the relationships I ended up in, that I would end up with these relationships where it wasn't unconditionally loved.
Right. So it kept
I
the
kept
pattern kept repeating.
Yeah, and that stuff's
which
so
it
hard
tends
to
to
change.
do. Yeah.
So hard to change. But I go to like 12-step meetings, and I hang out with a lot of people who are just passionate about self-improvement. So that's pretty great. And
Yeah.
and I think there's the flip side of it too, that I know today that I'm fucking capable of almost anything that's reasonable. Mm-hmm. So
Even not reasonable, man. You've reached heights that many don't reach and can only dream of, and part of that is believing in yourself, and then the other part working so hard and all the values and the habits you developed. But like, yeah, you've already reached unreasonable heights. So
it's cool. Well, I think because for me, every 3 to 4 years, I reinvent.
Yeah.
Always. I'll walk away. That's kind of like what I did work. I had a big roster, and
Yeah.
I just was like,
getting
I'm not.
old.
Yeah. As soon as like I lose the love and passion, I pivot, and I want to learn. And you know, to be honest, even like with training, and you know, I had this fear even with jiu-jitsu. I've been doing it over 3 years now, that, you know, because I went through phases of doing hot yoga or CrossFit, or weight training, but it stuck with me. But then you start to compete, and so I flew around
Yeah.
the country
Yeah.
competing this last year, which is terrifying.
Yeah. It is way different than going to class. Yeah. I'm like pretty good at class, and like, man, I've been humbled at some competitions.
Yeah. How many have you done?
I've done 3. I placed in all of the ones except for my last one. And the
Was
last
that Masters?
one, yeah, and my rib popped like 2 weeks before, so I didn't do jujitsu for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was still like injured, and I lost my first match by like 2 points, which I was devastated. I didn't drink any alcohol all summer. Like, I'm not a huge drinker, but I like to have a couple beers with a burger or whatever. And like, yeah, man, that guy went on to the semifinals, which makes me feel a little better, but it stings when you put so much into something and it doesn't turn out how you want it to.
Yeah, and then you look at the guys in our gym that are professionals.
God.
Like even Candy has a fight in 2 days.
I've rolled with him, and it's just like such another league and caliber of jiu-jitsu that I was like, I'm not as good at this as I thought I was.
Right.
Like, he's
Yeah.
so good.
But could you imagine like the other? We're doing it as a hobby,
Right.
so the amount of intensity there must be and nerves
Yeah.
when there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
You know, your tutorials online, how
Yeah.
people respect you.
Your dad's a legend.
Your dad's a legend. It's just got to be so hard.
Yeah, and you're coming back from that injury, the knee injury at ADCC. It's just like, I can't imagine. I think it's super cool, though.
Yeah.
I started when I was like 30, so there's or not even. Yeah, I was like, I don't know, I've only been doing it a couple of years, so.
Yeah, I started at 41.
Yeah, great. Better late than never. I love it, man. It's addicting.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's kind of like the reward system too, where you really want to get the next stripe.
Yeah, I know. And then it gets harder and
Takes
harder.
so long.
I know, 90 classes
90
now.
classes.
Like, geez. And then the ribbon, I was going like 4 to 5 times a week before I popped my rib. But also before I started doing this podcast. So now I'm down to like, I'm just trying to make at least 2 a week just to maintain, because this takes up so much of my time. I'm like editing 4 to 6 hours a day. I also have like 3 other part-time jobs.
Yeah, you're hustling. You're
I'm
doing
hustling,
a lot.
dude.
You turned your living room into a podcast room,
Yeah.
like to film and with all these lights and background, and it's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I'm getting 2 more cameras to get the different angles too. It looks like it's different angles by how I chop it, but it's just the one camera.
That's awesome. You taught yourself a lot.
My girlfriend helped me. She produced one of the biggest podcasts, and she taught me how to edit my clips. I had like, I'm not anywhere near you, but like I had like 3,000 followers when we met. I just hit 25K yesterday on Instagram. And I was posting these silly skits during the pandemic just to try to keep like the comedy juices flowing. And then I had like this set from a podcast, like one of the biggest live podcasts called Kill Tony, where they have these open micers essentially come on and do a minute in front of Tony Hinchcliffe and like some big celebrities. Like Bob Saget was on when I did mine. And I had like the best set, and you only have 1 minute. And I did my like hardest hitting, most surprise jokes, and I posted that clip, and it popped off, and it was like, I don't know, for my time, at that time it was the most. It had like over 50,000 views and tons of likes, and I was just like, I saw it as like a sign. Oh, this is the direction. You know what I mean? Like, I think God or the universe, whatever you believe in, gives you signs when you're on the right path to stuff. And I saw it as like a sign, and then I've just been posting those.
So with comedians, I have to imagine there's so much rejection, and really success is determined by response.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that right now, man, because the better your clips do, the more hate that's on there, the more love too. Like, I get a lot of cool comments from people, but like, I'm so sensitive, and like, I could have a clip of me crushing, and somebody will be like, "This dude's not funny." It's just like, what the fuck? You know?
Does it bother you?
It does still bother me. Yeah, man. I don't know.
Why do you think it is?
I don't know. My instinct for when you asked me just there said insecurity, but I think these things, I don't know, maybe a lack of experience from being exposed to strangers saying mean things. I don't know, man. Maybe because I put so much into this to where it's not, and I know there's always going to be those people in these comments. So I just gotta, I don't know, maybe you could better have some insight on where that comes from and why, but like it still affects me. Like I'm not losing sleep over it, but when I read it, if it's nasty, it doesn't feel good, you know?
Yeah, well, I went through some hazing for sure.
Yeah.
Like I had a previous client publicly come after me.
Really?
Oh yeah, bad.
Oh, I didn't see that when I looked you up.
Good. That means because I never talked about it, and I'm not going to mention names, but
Good.
it was a delusional reality. You know, like this person no longer was sober. They were coming unglued.
But they have
And
a status.
huge status. And so for a while, I would get thousands. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands, like trending topic.
No.
Yeah, on something while the person themselves is on drugs.
Wow.
But what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like and at the time it was.
That's had to give you intense
Well,
anxiety.
then I got really excited to block people.
Yeah.
I like flipped the script. I was like, oh, this is cool. I would
Yeah.
never hang out with this person who negatively goes to someone's page and does things. So then I flipped it around to like, oh, it's kind of exciting. It's like getting rid of, dirt in the house.
Yeah, that's a
know?
good point. And I only block them if they keep coming, but like I usually just hide there's an option to hide it, so it still like boosts my engagement or whatever. So I hide it if I can. And then I don't know. As a comedian, sometimes I'll try to be witty and say something and roast them, but
I'll put someone in my like general mail instead of primary.
yeah,
Because the thing about Instagram that sucks is as soon as you view it, they know you've seen it.
yeah,
And so
that's true. Unless they're in that weird box, they
the
don't
weird
know.
like
yeah,
exactly.
where you get all kinds of crazy stuff
Yeah.
in there.
Well, I think too, like we all to some degree have different levels of insecurity, and so sometimes people comment on things that hit home
Yeah,
based upon something in childhood that has nothing to do with even the situation that's going on.
yeah,
But I've found because I went through the experience of getting roasted, where it was like people.com, I'm not famous. So
right.
literally shit's coming out about me. That's not even true.
Wow.
So it was like a whole other level.
Yeah.
And everything worked out beautifully, and the universe took care of me.
Right.
Times 1,000. And that was during the time my first book came out. So
That kind of probably helped it in a weird
no,
twisted
because
way.
that celebrities, fans would hide my book in the bookstore, give me bad reviews online. Like they really kept going. It wasn't
Yeah.
just
It wasn't like
reviewing my rehab bad.
Yeah.
So so it was that. So now I think I've come to realize no one really cares.
yeah. Except for us.
But even, it's if somebody, I'm working on this television project that if it happens, it'll be like, it's like my heart.
when it happens.
When it happens. And so if this happens, and then I were to come on this a year from now, or when this happens, I will have a lot more hate,
Yeah.
right?
Just because, because
I'll
when
just
stuff
have a
does
lot
well,
more hate. People will be like, this guy's... There was already like Reddit pages about me that like, who am I? I suck on Dr. Phil. I'm not qualified. I'm not a therapist. I've been doing it for over 2 decades.
Right.
It doesn't matter, right? Nor do I need to defend myself to people that I don't even know.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that I continue
But
to
comedians,
like
I
work through.
imagine it's crazy how people feel because if you think about it, even in a comedy show, you'll get a heckler.
Oh yeah.
Other industries,
Mm-hmm.
if I go speak, like I just spoke at Blue Cross of Alberta, Canada.
Yeah.
There's no hecklers.
Yeah, there's no one coming up
There's-
after
people
telling
are
you how
crying
to
and-
improve your speech later, right?
No, they're writing on pieces of paper trying to get value. Your profession, it feels like there's like it's expected
Yeah.
that you're going to have people trying to make fun of you.
But also they'll try to give you advice. Like people have never done a single ounce of stand up, which I get. Like to a certain extent. Like we all have senses, or not all, but like a lot of us have senses of humor and can make people laugh. And like, but you're giving somebody who's, putting in the time. It's like,
What was the moment someone came up to you and you were like, "This is so not desired, and I don't know how to get out of this conversation. You're
so
trying to give me advice."
it happens often. And now I just go, okay, thanks, man. I'll keep that in mind. And I just pivot. I'm going to have a good night or whatever. Like I get out of there. I'm getting better at that. But like,
What's the advice they give?
you should try this with that, or have you thought about this? Or they'll have like a personal funny story that happened to them and they'll like try to give it to me. You can use that on stage if you want. And it's just like, dude, I'm not using your fucking dad joke on stage. Like all my stuff's personal. This is something I'm doing. And it's like, I don't know, I see it as the same as if your first day of jiu-jitsu, you come in and you go to even a blue belt, or like, I consider myself probably like a mid-level purple belt in comedy. I still have a lot to learn, but like I'm getting good at it, and where I consistently can get some good results. But it's like if I come up to a purple belt as a white belt and be like, that Americano was decent, but have you tried doing it like this? You'd be like, what the
I sometimes
fuck?
see that, like a blue belt trying to give advice after getting choked out.
Those are the same dudes giving me advice on my comedy.
Yeah, there's a dead end street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be annoying.
It is annoying, man. It's a weird profession.
So I spoke for Mental Health Awareness Month, and lately, whenever I've been giving a talk, I cry because I'm telling a story that happened within the last few years, and I just can't hold it back, and I end up crying.
That's probably more powerful for the audience too.
But it wasn't the right audience.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've realized it's similar to comedy in the sense that you're up there and you have to really read the room. Mm-hmm. And I can't force what I want. But it's hard to know the room and what they're going to be.
Yeah, man.
And but it's funny because in hindsight I thought I bombed. It was terrible. Like someone came up to me afterwards and they're like, "You really need to forgive your mom about blank."
Oh,
then,
no.
Yeah.
Did my mom send you?
Yeah, I was like, someone, I got lunch with them and they were trying to give me advice on I need to watch Joe Dispenza and I need to
so you get
let
it too
go. And I'm thinking I'm and that it would take my game to the next level.
Yeah. What's this person's game look like?
Well, but also I'm like, I'm cool. Like I don't.
You're happy and content where you are.
Yeah, and also it's I didn't ask.
Yeah. That's yeah.
I didn't ask.
Yeah.
And then I have to look within myself and go, how often do I push?
I do
when
that.
People don't ask.
Yeah, I push on my parents so many.
I push things on friends too, and I'm like, maybe I'm doing the same shit that annoys me.
I'm such a pusher. Yeah. That's something I've definitely had to be like, oh, this book, and I'm always recommending a self-improvement book for whatever trouble my friends are going through.
Yeah,
because those books have changed my life, and like when I struggle in a certain area and I read these books, like I feel like I level up, in a way.
Yeah.
So what do you? How do you respond to those comments?
Well, I sometimes go, okay, is the universe trying to tell me something? So be open.
Yeah.
I usually realize after, like a few weeks later, like, fuck that.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I'm pretty open to, okay, well, could this, because I've always operated like the universe is constantly giving us these human beings that communicate different things. And sometimes we are taught we have to set boundaries. And sometimes we're taught, oh shit, this is actually really
Something
helpful.
I need to work on, yeah. How do you know the difference? Because I agree with that, but like I struggle with which one's which,
Yeah. It's, I think we just start to develop that muscle. When
like
we
intuitive
know.
muscle.
Well, and also knowing when I'm in like ego.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be open to almost anyone's opinion or.
Yeah. Which it can just be your mood too you're in, or for me, like if I'm just in a weird mood, I'm not going to listen to anything sometimes.
Yeah, and also I, there's these coaches. So I'm in the, I guess you could say, the life coaching business,
Yeah.
but I'm not looking for people to follow me
Right.
or come to my event
Right.
for $10,000 and you're gonna be transformed into. And I'm more the type of guy that's like, if you can't afford it, don't do it.
Right. Watch some of these videos
Yeah,
online.
do you have insurance? Can you pay for this? Whereas like the coaching industry is very much trying to even encourage you to take out a second on your home
Yeah.
to pay for this ambiguous thing called coaching.
Yeah. Which is so cool and so crazy at the
It's
same
so cool.
time.
And so it's like, and then because I've gotten to know some of these coaches, and people will write books about like, don't give a fuck. And then they care so much.
Like Mark Manson.
I had Mark on my podcast.
Did
He's
you really?
a smart guy. He's a great writer.
Yeah, yeah.
He's brilliant at words. So that's a great table side book.
Yeah.
It's during the period of time it was great.
Yeah.
Millennial.
Yeah. There's a couple parts that I liked in it. The do something principle was really cool. That motivation doesn't come from just out of the ether, that you have to
Right.
take action to get the motivation. I like that. I didn't like his pessimistic view on like mindset and visualizing, and like I thought that was where, but like every book or not, but a lot of books have something where I'm like, I don't really agree with that, but I'll take this, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's how I kind of view it when someone comes up to me.
oh, that's good, man. How do you stay non-reactive? Because I'm such a sensitive person.
React.
That like, but just don't
Fucking react.
but detach from it. Kind
Maybe, or maybe you tell someone to fuck off, or maybe they came up to you. You didn't ask for the advice.
Yeah.
You don't owe them anything. What are they going to do? Unfollow you?
No, but one of my values is to like treat people how I want to be treated. So I struggle with that. Like, would I want to someone else to react to me if I said some silly stuff like that? I don't know.
I think it's intention. I think you can feel somebody's intention.
Yeah.
And I just went to an event this week at this house, and it was an informative event. And I went up to someone afterwards and wanted to ask them a question, and they gave me no time of day. But if I'm fully being honest, my intention is I also want a relationship with them because they have a lot of connections.
Yeah.
And I thought I could blend the two kind of together.
Yeah.
So I could get to know the person. But
How do you go ahead? I cut you off.
but I think like it's kind of, when you ask me to go on the podcast, what I've learned is take the meeting, do the next thing. So I do this. We've rolled in jiu-jitsu. We've never hung out. I went to your comedy show once
Yeah.
for your birthday.
Yeah.
But then we get to know each other a bit more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I view it just as
What am
what's
I
in
getting?
it from me,
Yeah. Driving to Inglewood.
driving to Inglewood when I have don't have a ton of time today, then
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's this idea that somehow I'm doing you a favor, which is crazy. And I just think really it's about figuring out someone's intention behind stuff. So you may go, okay, I want Mike. He's interesting. He has a few New York Times bestsellers. I do jiu-jitsu with him. We have some things in common.
Yeah.
So,
And I like what you do a lot, man. Like I gravitate to a lot of the subjects you gravitate towards, and like the self-improvement. Like I don't know. I thought you were a perfect guest for what the concept on
douchebags.
for recovered douchebag. Also, I have on here a story I want to get to that I read about you that I want to learn about. Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, like douchebags anonymous, because we're recovered, but I think anybody that can recover from being an extreme douchebag had to have a lot of help to do it.
Yeah.
But in a way, you did do me a favor, man, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I know how busy you must be, because I'm so busy and I don't even have...
Yeah, but it's not a favor. I could be playing Magic the Gathering right now. I'm playing an 8-year-old in Japan and avoiding life while I sit in a robe and drink coffee.
That's true, yeah. And also, I think that your purpose is partially getting met by coming here, because you like to help people, and something you say on this podcast could reach somebody that really needed it, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, or it's I like you, so...
Well, I appreciate it.
That's really the reason.
Thank you, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
The sugar mama. I have a sugar mama
Oh,
thing on here that I
yeah.
found deep
Oh,
in Google.
yeah.
What's the story on that? If you're comfortable sharing.
Oh, I'm comfortable with. I'm cool with anything except talking about entertainers I've worked with because I've avoided that world. But
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good practice to have because if I'm an entertainer and I see you talking about previous entertainers you worked with, I don't want
yeah,
to.
and you're like, why is Mike talking about me? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, when I was in New York, I did a lot of drugs. I'm an ex drug addict, and so I met this woman who was this beautiful model who she actually went topless in the club. I think I was 19. I was like, this woman's so attractive. Now, I've
Wow.
never had sex with a woman.
Ever?
Ever.
That's a gold star or platinum gay?
Have you had sex with a guy?
No.
Well, then you're a gold star too.
Yeah, but my girlfriend taught me all this terminology because she had her birthday at the gay club
Oh, really?
at High Tops.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but is it gold star or platinum or what's
I don't know.
okay?
I just
But
couldn't,
that's like
I
that's
tried
like
to get into it. I couldn't get into it. Like I bought magazines and everything. Yeah, I was trying
yeah.
to force myself, and I thought puberty it hits and then it changes. But anyways, I met this woman.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry you had to.
She heard that I never had sex with a woman,
She did.
so she was very driven to try to get me to have sex with her.
Wow.
And so
Every guy watching, all my recovered douchebags are like, "Oh, where's she at? I need a girl like that."
she was a supermodel, like crazy,
Wow.
crazy attractive, and so yeah, she would give me drugs and send me a car, and
Wow.
sometimes give me money, and
And you never hooked up with her?
well, I mean, I didn't have sex with her. I mean, this.
You like fooled around and tried?
No, I just remember her pulling out like an instrument
Oh wow.
for herself.
Oh,
And I just remember looking the other way. She would turn on gay porn on the TV. I just couldn't get into it.
Wow.
I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I
she
just
gave it her all.
She gave it her all.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. There was an aggressive gay celebrity that came after me
Really?
once and sent me a text message and it goes, "I'll put on pussy porn while I suck you off," or something like that. I was just like, oh my god. Yeah.
That's what he said? Because you at first thought he could be a friend?
Yeah, and also, yeah, it was the person could help me out a lot, and I would ask him for advice on certain things, and he sent that, and I was just like, okay, I just stopped contacting him. I, I'll tell you who it is off record, but
Okay.
also I have on here when you brought up the intention, like that's something I'm struggling with, because like I come into contact with a lot of people that I could benefit from in some way, or like especially comedically that are what's crazy about comedy is you could be just starting out and be put on a show with a huge comedian because it's just weird like that. So I rub shoulders with like a lot of like my idols, and like I struggle with like masking not masking. I struggle with like just being my true self in front of these people because there's so much like pressure on, or what, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say.
There's like, I love them as a comedian, but also I know that if I was friends with them, they could take me on the road with them. And so there's like this balance of me trying to just be myself and be a normal person, but also that's in the back of your mind.
There's nothing wrong with that being in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's attraction rather than promotion. And
Yeah.
sometimes when somebody isn't vibing with us, God's doing us a favor. And sometimes we believe certain people are going to change our lives and they're not going to.
Yeah.
Or if they do change our lives, it's actually going to come with a lot of red flags and a lot of disaster. And we think we know.
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm around my idol, then, they could help me so much and we could do A, B, C, and D. And then until you realize they're verbally abusive and they don't really,
Yeah.
like you don't know.
Right.
Like, and that's why I think sometimes it's helpful to figure out like what's easier than harder. Like what has less resistance. What relationships are easier?
Yeah.
Which relationships flow better?
Yeah.
Because anytime I've tried to get this or that, there's an energy like I'm trying, like I'm.
Yeah. It comes off.
It's
They
like
sense
this
it.
quiet desperation.
Yeah.
And
Anytime I've gotten anything, I was just being myself, having, like had good chemistry with the person or whatever.
yeah,
I feel like I interrupted you a little bit.
no,
had
you
another
know,
thought.
you got it. Chemistry's everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes we look back at moments and we're like, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God I didn't go with that person or that, or
Yeah.
But if you keep showing up and doing the best you can, from my experience, it does end up working out.
Yeah.
As long as your intention is to show up and do the best you can. And if you're kind and loving and supportive and cool, getting mentored by someone
That's what I'm talking about. That's kind of
is not asking them to do you favors.
yeah. That's
the
what
key.
I'm kind of looking for. Not looking for, but like I read Mastery by Robert Greene, and it's all about like how to master your craft and why there's so few masters out there. And one of the things he talks about is having a mentor. So like I've been looking for that in like a bigger comedy idol, but struggle with I don't know, just setting. Like I also grew up with this mindset of like you got to do it all yourself, don't ask for favors, and like that's not how the world operates. And I read Never Eat Alone, and it kind of shifted my mindset of that.
Well, I think you could have different mentors for different things. So when I spoke recently, for 1,200 people who in Canada, it's a big audience. My good friend Richie Jackson, he does like creative and choreography for Lady Gaga for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Right? I had tried to hire these coaches to help me, where I would come in and be I remember I worked with the Dallas Cowboys, and that fucking fell flat for sure.
Really?
With their player because
I think I saw that the
like
rookie
like
development team or something. Yeah.
It just because I went in to rehearse because a lot of these coaches, similar to probably comedy, it doesn't leave a lot of room.
Yeah.
For you to feel free and to be yourself. And so my friend, I contacted him to just help me.
Yeah.
Which he does. So he'll tell me like, this is when you take off your jacket. Oh. This is when you loosen up your collar. This is when you take a deep breath. Oh. Those little details where I thought I needed, how do I put a great, how do I make an impact to move someone to feel a certain type of way?
Wow. So you think those actions actually have an impact? Like when to take your jacket off? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's a feeling.
How do you learn all that?
From him. But what I'm saying is, usually we think mentors are these people in he's not in my industry.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
He's not a life coach. He's a fucking dancer.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's hot. That's hot. And he's super flamboyant. He's half the size of me. He's like, no. So I opened up my last...
Half the size of you, still pretty big.
Yeah, right? So my last talk, I opened up with who wants to share their biggest insecurity. Who wants to share the darkest part of their life?
Wow.
Raise your hand. No one did. So I said, the conference was about courage. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that.
Wow.
And I told him.
What was it?
It was that after 18 years I relapsed. And with no intention, a doctor prescribed me medicine that he kept pushing on me to write my second book because I just couldn't get my deadlines. And I only abused that medication. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do crystal.
It's like ADHD medication.
Correct.
I have that, by the way.
Right.
Since I was a kid.
Yeah.
My parents, I used to be on like medications for it.
Yeah, and the medications make you think they're working.
It's not good for you.
It's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
But I shared that, right? And then I shared, I told like 10 people.
You what?
I had told like 10 people.
Really?
Yeah, so of course I'm a mess and people...
Yeah.
And then I was talking to this doctor I work with the other night, and I said, afterwards people kept asking, Mike, can I hug you? And I still in my head thought it was because they felt sorry for me.
Yeah.
Like my reality was like, oh, these people feel sorry for me. She's like, no, it's because they love you in this moment. and they want to give you love.
Yeah.
And but my point is, the mentors I have are never in my industry. For myself,
Yeah.
I'm a little stubborn,
Yeah.
where I don't see any idols in my industry.
Really?
None.
Tony Robbins.
No.
What about the guy?
What?
What's that guy that invented
Why? I mean, he's a brilliant guy.
We have the same birthday, by the way. It's
Oh.
the rarest birthday in the
Me
world.
and you?
No.
Oh,
Me
you
and Tony
Herbalife?
Robbins.
Oh, you
Yeah.
and Tony Robbins? I've tried dipping in. I've watched YouTube videos. I think some of his stuff's great.
Yeah.
But what specifically would I idolize?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very different. I'm a different human being.
Yeah. No, maybe idolize isn't the best word, but like learn from or like impressed by. But you're also already
thing about
you're
Tony-
already at
yeah,
the pinnacle or like up. You're already among the same level of these guys, whereas I'm still like working my way up.
Well, I
too.
learned the cool thing with Tony is I learned you could say fucking shit and be in corporate America and it's acceptable. Like, so that would be one thing where I'd be like, oh, okay, if he does it, then I can be more myself.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I learned.
Yeah, I say it a lot too, and I'm realizing because I post my clips and I have to edit out all the
Yeah.
fucks and shits.
But I find comedians I really look up to other comedians. I think it's like one of those very interesting industries where people really do. I mean, I hear it a lot. Like they really love this person. They find this person so funny, this person.
Yeah,
But I think you probably have access to some really cool, interesting mentors.
yeah,
And people think mentor is like A to B. No, it's like you probably have 20 mentors in your life and you're not using them.
yeah. You're definitely right.
Right? Like you probably have someone that knows style good. And you literally can.
Whoa.
No, I mean it. Like,
Why is that the first thing you bring up?
but I'm saying it's whatever.
Yeah.
Like I literally go to someone every time. I'm like, what do I wear?
Yeah, I
'Cause
wear
don't
the
trust-
same stuff.
I don't
every
trust
day.
my own judgment.
Yeah,
I'm like, is this? I know I'm in like corporate, so it's a little different.
yeah.
But
I wear like six. I have like six different just plain
Like,
black
me
T-shirts.
it's the best.
Yeah. And then when I read that the billionaires don't spend any time on their outfits, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a billionaire. You know,
Right.
I related to that in some weird way. One of my favorite things, the douchebag daily double.
Yeah.
Which I mentioned briefly just so you could think about it. But it's ultimately, it's like the douchiest thing you've ever done to someone else and the douchiest thing that's ever been done to you.
Yeah, I was
that you're
thinking.
comfortable sharing.
Yeah, I was thinking on the drive over here. Is the douche like? What is your definition of douche?
That's a good question. I would say just like arrogant asshole type stuff, which some of the things I've said on here are like somebody said on one of the comments, they're like, that's not douchey, that's criminal. And it was.
Right.
But it's also had like a douchey element to it. So just anything where you would just be like, yeah, that was pretty douchey. Just I guess
Like embarrassing?
this is a good question. Probably not good values.
I even had to look up OFC when I was driving over here. And you
Of
said
course.
OFC. Yeah, I was like, what is OFC?
Yeah, so it's a product of me, my Gen Z
Yeah,
girlfriend.
exactly.
I know I use acronyms that she says slay too much. I don't say that one,
Yeah,
but yeah. I would say just like an asshole, but in like a boisterous way is the best thing that can come to my mind right now.
Yeah. Gosh. I think I'm maybe a douche every day in some way.
I know I relapse often.
Yeah, it's a tough one to stay on track.
Oh, like I was at one of my part-time jobs yesterday, and these girls asked me to take a photo for them, and I go $20 as a joke, you know, and one goes 50. I'll give you 50, which was, you know, and then the other one goes $20. She goes, your gift is you get to look at me.
Oof.
That's douchey. And she was pretty, but like, what are you doing? Like, how are you gonna say that to a person?
Right.
I don't know. So that's a good example of a very mild douchiness.
I feel like my douchiness would come out when I'm more in dating, typically. I don't know if that's what people say.
Yeah.
Where you're trying to impress someone.
Yeah.
And I would say the douchiness is probably like believing that someone's going to be like so into me based upon me throwing out, what I've done.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
But it's a little douchey.
it works though. It's in a way, it's demonstrating higher value, as they would say. It's literally taught in the pickup artist books. That is one of the things they teach to demonstrate higher value, which means like
leading with.
but like in a organic way. But obviously, if you're planning it, it's less. But I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's okay. I know I'm a douche.
I don't think it's that douchey. Like,
No.
I think it's a smart move if you want someone to like. I mean, now if you're like, I did this, I did that, and they didn't even ask. But if it just comes up naturally, you have a lot of good credits that many people would be impressed and attracted by. And why not use what you have and what psychology proves is effective?
Yeah, I would say the douchiest thing I've done. Oh my God.
If you have a specific, you don't have to leave out, say any of the names, but that is more of like a specific circumstance, and we can always come back to it too, because there's.
Well, the douchiest thing done to me is I worked with a client once, a very famous person, who wouldn't let anyone. I just started working with this person, and they had like a clothing line.
Yeah.
And a big shoot, and I was brand new, and she kicked out all of our managers and family, and I was the only one allowed to be there. And all of a sudden was having to play the role of like trying to get this shoot done for clothing.
Oh no.
But she was such a douche for doing that. Like it's
That's not your role.
no, like
Yeah.
no, and I'm like to kick your manager. And she wasn't even on drugs or nothing. She just wanted to be really like controlling.
Yeah.
That was pretty douchey on her end. And then I think on my end, I think that I was making TikTok videos for a while. I removed a lot of them. But I had someone who was helping me with my social media. And so he constantly it was like kind of catering to the gay audience, had nothing to do with life coaching. And it would just be like me in a Speedo.
Oh,
or
wow.
Like,
is this that other account you were talking about earlier?
Well, no, even TikTok, I removed like 50 videos. Because I feel like douchey is when you look back and you cringe at your own behavior.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good example.
And I think I was like he had me make a video where I was playing off like I was a daddy.
Oh, yeah.
And
what is a daddy? Like, because I don't know. That's my girlfriend calls me daddy, but what is a daddy that you're referring to?
It's just, I mean, it's kind of, I guess, it's like a sexual, like, I want you to be like my daddy. Like It's like a hot, like you're so hot daddy.
Okay, yeah. So
And I just felt so douchey playing that role of daddy on TikTok videos.
On TikTok, yeah.
I'm just like, what was I doing, thinking? And I removed, like, some of these had like 300,000 views and everything. And
That's
I just
a lot.
was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And even more recently, I was worried as I do this TV project. I'm like, oh my God, if they see these videos. I think it's any time I try to get someone to want me.
Yeah.
I feel douchey.
Yeah.
Like trying to get strangers to want me.
Versus just being yourself.
Yeah.
That's true, man. That's interesting that you said that, because when I was my douchiest, it's because I wanted to be accepted and loved, and I thought that behavior was cool or whatever, and I thought that it would get me more wanted in a way.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you said that.
Yes, sir. I'm a douche as well.
Oh, I have on here your redemption story.
I don't even know what that is.
Like, was there? Because I read that you had attempted to quit drugs multiple times, thrown everything out, but you kept going back to it. Like, was there a defining moment, or was it just an accumulation of like?
I've learned in life that when there's something I've repeatedly failed at,
Yeah.
that at some point I fully surrender and I do what someone else tells me to do to the fullest extent. Fullest extent, getting my ego out of the way.
Yeah.
So if something's not working for me in my life, I like relatively go a little black and white with it
Yeah.
and do everything that they say. So for me, it meant going through like 10 months of treatment in Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where were you? So you went from New York to Minnesota.
Yeah, I thought I was going for 30 days. I was there for 2.5 years.
Wow. 2.5
couldn't
years
get out.
at a treatment center?
I was working at Caribou Coffee and YMCA on the weekends and Dumb Brothers Coffee. And it was so hard waking up at like 4 a.m. to go make $7.50 an hour for...
Wow. So that was just part of like...
I had no way out. I had no money.
Oh.
I had nowhere to go.
Damn.
Even to become an alcohol and drug abuse counselor, I had to apply for scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah, like beginning of my career, I lived with my mom because I couldn't afford to live on my own. And then when I moved to Venice, and that was like the beginning.
Are you still close with your family at all?
My brother's in Puerto Rico, and we're real tight. My dad, we're close.
You're not close with your mom?
No.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't even have anger towards her now.
Do you have a relationship at all with her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Just talk
communicate.
on the phone. You know, a really good book I just finished that helped me with my parents more than anything I've ever read. It was called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents.
Really?
Game changer, man, for me.
Wow. That sounds really good.
It was so good, dude. And it's helped me with other, like, emotionally immature people. Like, because, like, I'm always trying to get them to understand me, but, like, it teaches you to, like, these people... this sounds bad, and my parents watch this, and I love my parents, but there's certain things that they're not able to do emotionally, and that's okay, and that I can still express myself, but detach from trying to make them understand where I'm coming from and have empathy and have these things that I expect out of a lot of relationships, I guess.
Yeah.
But to like still say my piece and detach, and then you'll find that they somehow have more empathy and are like they grow just from how I'm responding, and I lose this like I need them to understand. I need them to know that this wasn't right, how they did this, and and it's just I don't know. It was a really cool.
That's
book
awesome.
for me,
I'd check it out for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Sounds like I'd learn a lot.
I'm sure you already know a lot of it already. The last two things. So the last episode, I'm gonna have on an ex-girlfriend who I was an extreme douchebag too, and I'm really nervous about that episode. And I don't even have the ex-girlfriend yet because one has blocked me, the other ones didn't respond, so that's becoming difficult. But I want to see what you thought of that.
Having an ex-girlfriend on?
Yeah.
And what's the goal?
The goal is, that's good.
Well, to be entertaining?
One, it's drama and it is entertaining, but two is like to highlight how big of a douche I was. These women probably don't even know that I've made the changes necessary. I don't know. It's been really uncomfortable. Like it seemed like a really good idea starting out, but now it's become it's closer. It's really uncomfortable reaching out to these women that I would never speak to again. Like, I know what I did was wrong and I regret it and I've worked through it, but like I've moved on and they've moved on. And so it's like this really weird space where I'm like, hey, can you come on my podcast where I'm talking about I'm not a douchebag? So just the act of asking them is a douchey thing,
Well, maybe make a list of all the things you did that was not who you authentically are.
Yeah.
So that, if someone does come on, then,
we have stuff to talk about.
Also, someone reaching out to the ex-girlfriend may play a little better than you reaching out to them directly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like, hey, Bryson.
As a podcast. Yeah, I would have someone else reach out.
Someone else. And just say, hey.
Because what's in it for them?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, there's literally nothing in it for them at all. Like, and it's gonna be like, especially if it's one of the
So the one that you blocked, you could just like have a cardboard image of her sitting on the sofa. And you could talk to her,
Right?
right?
I almost said her name. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. What is it?
Sounds interesting.
How can I
Get them?
Yeah. I think it'll be a powerful episode.
Well, I think your intention has to be
Yeah.
different that for someone to receive it differently.
Yeah. What would be a good intention for me to have? If that.
To make amends,
Yeah.
to let them know that you did care about them, to
Yeah.
all that stuff. We make them feel like they were enough.
Yeah.
Then it gets all heavy. You know?
Yeah. I know I'm feeling it already. All right, man. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Go to your comedy show
Nothing
and watch you adjust your buttons and no. It's all good. I'm just Coach Mike Beer on social media.
All right,
That's
man.
it. Yeah.
Well, dope, dude. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thanks, brother.
I really appreciate you coming out and doing it, man.
Did we do the Serenity Prayer at the end of Douchebags Anonymous?
We can.
No?
Can what? My roommate actually had that on a cross, and I made him put it in his room because I'm like not religious, but he had this cross with I think the God grant me
The
the
serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
yeah.
Yeah. Every anonymous meeting they do it.
There's
yeah.
3 things on there, right?
God grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah, that's
Amen.
powerful.